little more seasoned, is going to deliver a speech number 3 out of the Competent Communicator. But his speaking purpose tonight is going to teach us some powerful techniques that he learned when he took a class, and I believe it was a theater class, at Cuesta College. So this should be quite entertaining. So if you, at this time, would help me welcome to our lectern, Mr. Garrett Olson.
Most of us here are Toastmasters. We know how to organize a speech into an introduction, supporting points, and a conclusion. We know from speech number 4 out of the Competent Communicator Manual to use our body language to fully express our idea. From speech number 10, we know how to inspire an audience to action. I'm here to tell you tonight that there is a missing Competent Communicator Manual, and I'm going to tell you everything that would be in it. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. That missing manual is on stage movement. This 15 by 5 foot area up here, for 5 years of my Toastmasters experience, was the biggest enigma. I had no idea what to do up here. My strategy, up until a couple months ago, was to pace around a little bit, keep the audience guessing, just move around, burn off some energy. My first reaction when I get up here is I want to burn off all this nervous energy and just pace around. The problem with that is it can come across as nervous and distracting. Tonight I'm going to teach you 3 powerful techniques you can use to do one thing, and that is to move with purpose. And I think you'll find if you have a speaker who's up here pacing and running around, or if you have a speaker who just stays in one spot, you'll find they're not meeting their true potential. And if they do learn to move with purpose, their effectiveness is going to rise up. The first technique is moving side to side. If you want to emphasize or transition into another topic, you can take a couple steps to the right. It's such a small move, but in the audience's eye and in their mind, it's going to transition into that other point. For many years, I had no idea how you move side to side. I remember a couple years ago, I knew I had to move around and move to the side a little bit. I didn't know how. And I remember practicing shuffling like this and trying to do it so nonchalantly that it didn't look ridiculous. It looks ridiculous. You're not going to do it that way. And then I tried walking over to where I wanted to go. That's not ideal because you're not facing the audience, your shoulder is. I'll show you what the pros do. The pro wants to go right there. Pro takes the first step with their leading foot and does these crossover steps. It's so effortless. You might not be totally facing the audience while you do it, but for the most part you are, and that's okay. Those crossover steps work wonderfully. The second technique I want to teach you is using the stage front and stage rear. Now in theater there are various sections of the stage. You have your stage right, left, center, front, and rear. If you take a couple steps forward, you can up the audience's engagement. And if you take a couple steps back, you're going to lower that audience engagement. So you can think of this as a scale of audience engagement. And if you really want to add some importance to your speech, take a couple steps forward. About a month ago, I was watching the world champion of public speaking on YouTube, 2005, not totally sure. But here's what he did demonstrating this effect. He was off stage, he was introduced, ran up, shook the contest chair's hand, he faced the audience, and before speaking, he took a couple steps forward and then began. And when I watched this, that was such a small thing that he did, just taking some steps forward. But it engaged me and it engaged the audience. I thought it was a very effective use of stepping forward on the stage. The third technique I want to teach you is kind of related to the first two. It's if you don't have to move to the side or the front or the rear, don't. Plant yourself in one place and present from there. Now, when you do that, you plant your feet, you want to make sure you're not jiggling your leg or rocking back and forth. About a month ago, I got to see one of the best speakers I'd ever seen in my entire life. This woman was amazing. But the one thing I noticed was that when she was standing still, she would gently rock her leg. Now, that's not the worst thing in the world, of course. But I did notice what it did is it took away a little bit of the luster of her speech, a little bit of the authority and the credibility that she had just by this rocking. So if you are going to stand here, plant those feet down. A quick demonstration of this idea. If I'm trying to talk and I'm moving my legs around, look how ridiculous that looks. All my credibility and authority as a speaker has just vanished. If I plant those feet, I can move my upper body as much as I want and I still maintain that authority and credibility. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, tonight I've taught you 3 powerful techniques you can use with this stage right up here. One is if you want to move to the side, it will help you transition and emphasize a point. And if you do that, take the first step with your leading foot, cross over. 2, if you want to add additional emphasis, take a couple steps forward to engage the audience, or a couple steps back to lay your idea on the floor for people to digest. And 3, if you don't have to move, don't. Plant yourself in one place. I hope you'll use these, try them out, experiment with these techniques, and ultimately achieve the goal of moving with purpose. Mr. Toastmaster.
Another round of